What's going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music. Today I want to talk about this record right here. This is Bill Withers' Kissing My Love, released on Sussex Records, both as a single and as a B-side from his second album, Still Bill, in 1972. And seeing as how I've been using this segment largely to talk about some of my favorite funky tracks, I figured in order to pay homage to the late great soul singer, I would talk about what I think is not only one of his funkiest tracks, I think it's also one of his lesser appreciated and lesser talked about tracks. I mean, with so many legendary songs in his catalog, you could probably talk about great songs such as Lovely Day or Ain't No Sunshine, Use Me, any of those classic songs that everybody recognizes. But I thought, in order to put my own unique spin on this, I would talk about a song that seemingly not as many people discuss when talking about the musical history of Bill Withers. So, with that being said, let's talk about this guy. So when it comes to talking about the musical history of Bill Withers, I feel like I can only give you the Cliff Notes version. There's just so many resources that I think do a way better job of talking about his musical heritage than I ever could. So I highly recommend, if you can track it down, the 2006 interview that he did with Wax Poetics magazine, as well as the second interview that he did with Wax Poetics on the anniversary of his first album, Just As I Am, which I think was back from 2010. Highly recommend that you read both of those, as well as check out the documentary Still Bill, as I think it gives you an intimate portrayal of who Bill Withers was as a human being, and it really just makes him out to be one of the most endearing, most likable people I think I've ever seen in music. As always, for any of the things that I can find, I will post links over on my WordPress and Steemit blogs, which is always in the description of these videos. But I do feel like I do need to give a little bit of history. Bill Withers, or his full name, William Harrison Withers Jr., was born on the 4th of July in a small coal mining town in 1938. At the age of 17, he would join the Navy, serve for 9 years, and then leave in 1965. In 1967, he moved to California in hopes of starting up his musical career, and in the 70s, he would join Sussex Records to release most of his earliest stuff before the label ended up folding. After that, he would move on to Columbia Records and release music with them until his eventual retirement in 1985. And as far as I can tell and remember from the interviews that I've read, the man had great business acumen, because during this entire time, he maintained and kept his publishing and licensing rights to all of his music. And in doing so, that meant that he was able to make a large amount of his income late into his life off of the royalties that he would get from people using his music, whether in movies or in samples. So definitely something to bear in mind when you decide to sign that record contract. Now, one other little piece of musical history that I think you need to talk about with Bill Withers is not just the music that he put out, but also the band that backed him, especially early on. From the interviews that I read, Bill Withers early on met Watts 103rd Street Band member Ray Jackson, which would help him early on in his musical career. And it also ended up being very fortuitous for him, as when some band disputes ended up happening with Charles Wright and the rest of the band, several of the members would leave and end up joining Bill Withers as his touring band, and later also help him in some of his earliest recordings and become his backing band for several years. Some of those members include multi-instrumentalist Ray Jackson, Bobby Hall on percussion, Melvin Dunlap on bass, Benoris Blackman on guitar, I really hope I said that name right, and everybody's favorite member of the group, the happiest drummer in the world, the legendary James Gatson on drums. Now, one thing I didn't check was to see if this band was backing him for the sessions that were done for Just As I Am, but I can confirm that those band members were the ones that were present to help Bill Withers craft his second album, Still Bill, and are definitely present on this track right here, as you can tell, as the song kicks off immediately with this absolutely massive drum break done by the one and only James Gatson. This drum break is so iconic, you might actually recognize recognize it from several hip-hop samples, especially this one right here. But not only does this track have an awesome drum break, it's just a great funk track through and through. There's a great little piano hook in it. There's some excellent wah-wah guitar also thrown in there, and some really, really nice bass work that all just rounds out a track that is just as good instrumentally as it is. The track is extremely solid instrumentally, and it also is paired with Bill Withers' very straightforward but still very emotionally impactful lyrics and vocals, and it's just an absolute joy of a song to listen to, and it's definitely one of my favorite Bill Withers tracks. Now, as with pretty much every song that I've talked about in this segment, my first exposure to this song was through DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist, but this time not from Brain Freeze, but rather it was from product placement. It was one of the first songs played in the set, and it was always a standout moment to me because the drum break is just so massive on it. The shuffling drums of that song have always stuck out to me. And maybe about a year ago on a digging trip down in Tokyo at a disc union, I stumbled across this, and on the little label that was on the sleeve, it said classic ultimate breaks and beat drum break on it, and I knew that I had to pick it up. It was a little pricey, going for about 2,000 yen in Japan, which does seem like it's a little overpriced considering you can find this record on Discogs for a lot cheaper. But that being said, having a classic track like this in my collection was absolutely necessary, so I'm really, really glad that I picked this guy up. With all that being said, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's a super funky track. It's one of Bill Withers' best songs, and it's definitely one of my favorites. And thankfully, if you're buying it in the US, it's actually pretty reasonably priced, so you really have no excuse not to add this song to your collection. If you ever run across a copy of Bill Withers' Kissing My Love, definitely add this to your collection because it is totally worth having. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've listened to this song before, let me know what you think of it down in the comments, and definitely let me know what some of your favorite Bill Withers songs are. As always, if you want to check this song out for yourself or any of the other resources that I talked about at the beginning of this video, head over to my WordPress Steam It blogs because that's where I'll post links to anything that I talked about in this video. Also, make sure you head over to my Mixcloud where you can check out Raw Select Radio, the audio component of this YouTube channel. There you can hear me play records like this one, as well as a whole host of other records that I don't get a chance to talk about on this channel. And definitely make sure that you look out for my live stream archives. I've been streaming over on my personal Facebook page, but also have been posting the live stream archives on this channel. Definitely check that out if you want a fuller picture of all the different music that I listen to. Links to everything, as always, down in the description. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. So until then, peace out!